The Queen is dead. Long live the King. On the 8th of September 2022, those words mark the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, ending the longest reign in British history and announcing the ascension of a new king, Charles III. With his new title, Charles has inherited a phenomenal amount of wealth.
I have the most money in the world, right?
Yes, Your Majesty.
And is now leader of the richest family on earth, an organization they themselves call the Firm. For years, the assets of the royal family have been shrouded in mystery, hidden behind laws designed to protect their true value. But recently, many news outlets have helped to lift the veil, uncovering a level of riches that truly defies the imagination. You might think that it's an exaggeration to suggest that Queen Elizabeth owned the world, but it might not actually be as big of a stretch as you might think, because legally, she owned more of the planet than anyone else, including land that most people thought was theirs. According to statistics, Queen Elizabeth's personal wealth was estimated to be around $500 million, but this figure is very misleading, as by law, she owned much more than that. The vast majority of this unconsidered wealth is made up of land, and just how much depends on which law you choose to look at. In the UK, the monarch owns the Crown Estate, which is more than 250,000 acres across the kingdom, or around 0.5% of the nation's surface. But this really isn't accurate, as Queen Elizabeth actually owned the superior interest in all land in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, meaning that by law, her ownership superseded any other landowner, meaning every landowner in the UK was really just leasing land from her. And this supreme authority over all land isn't exclusive to the United Kingdom either, as the Crown and Monarch also owns Crown land in 15 other Commonwealth realms around the world, including New Zealand, the Bahamas, Australia, and Canada. In Australia, for example, Crown land is almost 1/4 of the entire country. In Canada, it's even more, almost 90% of all the nation's land. But again, even these figures aren't entirely correct, because technically, the Queen actually owns every single piece of land in these nations. In Australia, for example, a law firm described that even though many Australian landholders believe they own their own land, this isn't actually the case, that legally the Crown actually holds absolute ownership of everything. This means that nobody truly owns land in any of the Queen's realms. It's all just the property of the Crown. This includes every single piece of land in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Jamaica, Papua New Guinea, and the rest of the Commonwealth. To put it simply, Queen Elizabeth owned absolutely all land in every Commonwealth nation by law, land that upon her death was automatically transferred to a new owner. In total, the Queen's owned land amounted to 6.6 billion acres around the world, or around 1/6 of all land on planet's surface, including around half of Antarctica, through claims made by Australia, the UK, and New Zealand. Immediately upon the death of the Queen, her crown, titles, and ownership were legally passed on to her son, the new reigning king, Charles III, who in an instant became the single biggest landowner on earth. Upon becoming king, Charles also inherited some incredible powers, like being completely immune to prosecution, meaning he can never be arrested or tried for any crime. He also no longer needs a passport to travel, as by law, all passports are issued in his name. But some of the most valuable powers come in the form of being able to hide or grow the crown's wealth. Charles is legally exempt from paying any form of taxes at all, and his family is also entirely immune from any freedom of information requests, making it much easier to hide or shield its assets. As reported by The Guardian, this secrecy is a tradition that apparently began in the 1970s, after the Queen allegedly successfully blocked laws that would require her to reveal everything she owned, something the news outlets uncovered in documents dated from November 1973. However, this accusation was completely denied by the royal family. But there is so much more that Charles has inherited beyond just land and power, as with his new title of king, it comes with an insane amount of other resources. A huge part of the crown's assets have never been fully known to the public. One of the most valuable of these is the Royal Collection, an archive of over 500,000 art items, including over 7,000 paintings. In other words, the largest private art collection on earth, valued at over £10 billion. But this isn't just about collecting history. Art preserves the crown's wealth. The last time inflation was this high, fine art appreciated by an average of 33% per year. This is why the crown has continued adding artists like Andy Warhol to its portfolio. Now, obviously, you are not the King of England. However, with today's sponsor Masterworks, you can also preserve and grow your wealth by investing in multi-million-dollar art. Masterworks buys high-end contemporary artworks, securitizes them, and allows members to buy a portion of each artwork in the form of shares. So far, I've personally invested in 3 paintings with Masterworks. The Banksy, the Picasso, the Kusama pieces on your screen right now. And so far, Masterworks has secured an average net return of 29% to its investors. There is usually a waiting line to join Masterworks. However, you can skip the queue and join over 500,000 members simply by going to masterworks.art/Sorel today. So it is obvious that the royal family is unimaginably wealthy, and a lot of that wealth is concealed through laws and structures that are designed to hide its value. For this reason, the royal family operates more like a massive global corporation rather than just a rich group of relatives. At the start of the last century, Elizabeth's father, King George VI, began referring to the royal family as the firm, a title the family still apparently calls themselves today. And according to Forbes, the firm has structured itself like a 1,000-year-old business. Today, the firm is made up of 7 total members: the new King Charles and his wife Camilla, Prince William and his wife Kate, as well as 2 of Queen Elizabeth's children, Princess Anne and Prince Edward, including also Edward's wife Sophie. Queen Elizabeth's son Prince Andrew was also once a member of the firm. However, after some serious accusations involving some plane rides to a secret island, Elizabeth stripped the prince of most of his royal honors, including his place in the firm. In total, the firm manages nearly $28 billion worth of assets that we know about. However, much of this has been well hidden over time, with some estimating the firm's assets to be closer to $100 billion in value. And this doesn't even include the land and nations the crown legally owns around the world, which is extremely difficult to value. But by some estimates, the crown's technical ownership of Australia could be worth over $5.8 trillion alone. Basically, if you take everything into account, the royal family are by far the richest family on the planet, making the family in the second spot look very small in comparison, which is the Saudi royal family, which have an estimated net worth of $1.4 trillion. Now, obviously, the recent death of the head of the royal family is going to result in some very significant changes. So here is how the transition from Elizabeth to Charles is going to likely cost Britain and the rest of the world a lot of money. Following the death of Queen Elizabeth, massive changes need to be made to Britain and its empire. Within a year, all currency in the United Kingdom needs to be remade to reflect the passing of the monarch, and will soon be stamped and printed with the face of King Charles, something that also has to happen in Commonwealth nations as well. A 12-day period of mourning and a new national day of mourning will also cost the British company dearly. By law, passports also need to be changed to incorporate Charles as the head of the empire, and so do postage stamps, as well as military, police, and institutional uniforms. All in all, these changes are expected to cost the UK billions of dollars in total, not to mention the same massive costs throughout the rest of the Commonwealth. The question I ask myself personally is, who is actually paying for all these bills? Is it not the taxpayers? And what I also find really interesting from this whole thing is I think this video illustrates how much power a single family still has over our planet today, especially considering that most of us probably think that the monarchy is something that's in most part faded into history. But this is just my opinion. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And if you like this video, you might also enjoy the recent video we made about the United States politician and how much money and power they have in their own country. It is on your screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out our newsletter of 75,000 people plus who are loving extra financial nuggets of information wrapped up in beautifully written stories. Please make sure you subscribe and like. And also we have a private membership where people are finding out more about the world of finance and freedom. Link down below, and I will see you in the next one.